It's excuse me. Can you still see my red or no? Ah.
Wyclef Jean, BKS1 Radio. Let's go.
This is Essence Atkins, and this is BKS1 Radio.
Hi, this is Melba Moore, and you're listening to BKS1 Radio.
Yo, check it out. What's the deal? This the chef. Giving a big shout out to my peoples. Big KS, you already know what it is. Salute.
What's up? It's your girl Monifa, and I'm hanging with BKS1 Radio.
Hi, I'm Iyanla Van Zandt, and you're listening to BKS1 Radio.
BKS Radio, baby.
Hey, this is Jasmine Guy for BKS1 Radio.
What's going on? This is Lamont Rooker, and this is BKS1 Radio.
Shout out to BKS1, the best kept damn secret in the business.
Hey, what's up? This is Raven Goodwin from BET's Being Mary Jane, and shout out to BKS1.
Hi, this is Leon. You're watching BKS1 Radio.
BKS1. God bless y'all. Wyclef. Go.
Hello, and welcome to the Owl Show right here on BKS1 Radio. It is your girl, Chanel, and of course, I am here with Miss Queen B, and we are here doing what we do every single Tuesday, whether we are at home or in the studio. We have a great guest that is going to join us tonight virtually. Our relationship coach for the past, 2-3 years, is it? However many years it has been. Yeah, he's going to be joining us tonight a little bit later on. But in the meantime, while it is myself and Miss Queen B, first and foremost, like we always do, how are you, darling? What's going on with you?
No complaints. It's 2021.
Yes, it is.
It's really not 2021. It's really 2020 plus one.
Okay, what? Okay, explain.
It's all the same.
I'm like, explain. Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. It's like December 42nd or something like that. Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's what it is. It's
no,
that.
I get December 42nd.
A lot going on, and a lot is going on since we've been here. But with me, I'm pretty fantabulous. I'm okay.
You good.
Good.
All right. Well, I mean, we haven't seen you in a week, so that's why I'm just like, what's the latest? Any updates? Any world tours? Any world premieres? Any?
Just want to congratulate my son on his song that came out.
Thank you. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Just so he know that was Auntie that did that, because your mama was sitting there like she ain't even know. But anyway, go ahead.
That ain't true. I was gonna get to it. So this song came out, and I was rapping, I had to, everybody, I had to write the lyrics down in order to learn the song, like in the old days, and I had to make the whatever, and it was cute. But it's a song for his generation, of course. They said it went hard.
It went hard.
They said it slaps hard. I don't know. That must mean it's good.
I mean, do I start using that vernacular or do I? No. Okay.
So, little curse words in there, but I raised them right.
Clutch the pearls.
Yeah, I mean, he grown, but everybody use sentence enhancers. So, but no, I'm glad that he's actually doing his craft. So he sings and raps, and it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny, but I'm glad. Shout out to him. It's called D&D.
Is he like a bass or like a tenor or like
no? He just medium.
Falsetto.
Yeah,
like
yeah, that type of thing. Yeah, yeah.
Like
We always knew he would sing since he was little.
Yes, we did.
But I think on all jokes aside, I think my kids are pretty gifted. Like when it comes to creativity and writing, I think they're pretty good with that. They have it honest. They don't have a choice. No, but no, shout out to him because when young people could be doing something so
of course
completely different, then
of course.
I'm grateful that he found his niche and he's working on it and he's crafting it, and I hope that that's what he likes to do, and I'm all for it. Shout out to my kid.
Shout out to him. Shout out for the song coming out yesterday. Auntie listened to the song, and again, I'm just still picturing, Halloween and costumes. So I wasn't ready personally. You know what I mean? But no, it's a good thing.
It's a great thing.
Yeah.
So that was great. Highlight of I got real distracted. I was so busy checking to see what his streams were and what everything was, but he did well for the first day, which is actually good.
Mm-hmm.
And then like I said, he has much more music, so I hope he goes far. For his generation is good, and I'm sure in our generation we had that type of music that slapped, like they said. Yeah.
I'm glad you're talking about generations and music, because I want to use that as a segue before we get into our guests. Because all of just for everybody who's tuning in, all of today's topic is going to be surrounded around love and relationships and all that it entails.
Right.
So, and I'm glad you're talking about music in different generations. My favorite artist, which I posted about today, Jasmine Sullivan, everybody knows, has her new if I say album, am I dating myself? But she has her new tracks that came out called
I was about to say, I don't know what else to say. But
yeah, that's what I'm like. If I say, like, what do you say now? Do you not say album because it's technically not? I don't know. Anyway,
new music.
All right, new Jasmine. You know what I'm saying? Called Hotels, or Who, like a Who, like a Who, like a Hotels, and every song speaks on different perspectives of today's woman. Literally every single perspective of I was out there, I'm not out there. This happened, I got my heart broke. That happened, I didn't get my heart broke. I was the heartbreaker, I wasn't the heartbreaker. Literally, and each song is a woman's name and her story, and then they sing about it. Absolutely love it. But I'm actually not even using that to talk about Jasmine. I'm using that to talk about segue of what's been going on social media right now, and everybody talking about Miss Lori Harvey.
I'd like to ask our love guru when he comes what he thinks.
Yes, and so you and I discussed this a little earlier today. Everybody has something to say about the dating life of Miss Lori Harvey. And so everybody who doesn't know, this is Steve Harvey's daughter, right? Is it Steve Harvey's daughter or his stepdaughter?
No, daughter.
Okay. And she is now with
Michael B. Jordan.
She is now with Michael B. Jordan. However, she has been rumored to be with other celebrities. Now, you have a few people, I'll just say a few people on social media that have a lot to say about her dating a few different celebrities. You have some that say it's in poor taste. There's some that say that she is getting around. There's some who are saying just a whole host of things about her dating life. So, like I said, you and I discussed this earlier, but I would like to know your thoughts and opinions on, what has been circulating on social media right now.
So as I said to you before, in private, and I'll say it in person, and in public, I'll say it with everybody else. I was raised with appearances, and that one-sided, a woman can't do what a man can do. My mother always said, a man can go out here and date and do whatever and sleep with whomever, and no one will label him. Well, that is society's way of misogyny, I think, in the way of a way of putting a woman and keeping a woman in a certain place, right? While a man could gallivant and do whatever.
Did you say gallivant like you were 70?
They gallivanting, in these streets, that's what they do. Now I understand no one wants a reputation, but I kind of, what's poor taste to me is the fact that you would judge that woman and you would not judge other people. They actually have her like on her and her picture, and then all of the men she's dated. Now, me and you have talked about one of these things before, and it is that, do you remember the girl? I'll just say the girl, okay. In high school that dated all these people, got out there, did whatever, actually settled down. Actually settled down when they got older, married and settled down, but kind of soared her royal oats and did whatever, and it's fine now. She's not a hoe. She's not considered that. And is that only, let me ask you a question. Is that only in our culture? Is that only in our culture?
No.
No, it's not. But it's more prevalent for us to be judging, because I know of the cultures where they're like,
it's more, okay, some people are not going to like my next statement, but unfortunately it is more prevalent for us to get married later on too, as Black women.
So what do you think as Black women?
I'm saying women of other cultures typically by design are married by 25 years old.
But before 25, they have lived.
Prior to 25, depending upon the culture, some have lived.
Don't say some. I will tell you that maybe they don't put it out there as them not living, but I know that they have lived secretly.
Some, yes. In some cultures, yes.
I would love to, let me just be really real with you. And I'm speaking this from what I know, being from my culture, being Muslim, being whatever. We are taught that it is better to marry than to burn. That's also in Christianity as well, but it's also being a Muslim too. So they will marry quick before, a baby comes, before whatever. But I need you to understand that some of them have lived without their parents knowing.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
We talk about the Catholic girls in the Catholic schools or whatever. Totally like, you hope that all of them are virgins or whatever when they get married, but a lot of them are not.
Of course not.
So I say this but do you hear about that in that religion or culture?
So what you're saying is women of other cultures.
We're making a big deal.
Are women of other cultures villainized in the event that
like
they
our culture
date like our culture would villainize, how we villainize our women? Honestly, I think that's a loaded question, and I honestly feel like that is a topic of a whole show, only because African American women are overly sexualized by the rest of the world.
Absolutely. And scrutinized a little more. Yeah.
We are scrutinized, right? We are scrutinized and over sexualized. It's funny when I went to Miami a few months back, we were having this conversation where there was a Caucasian girl that walked by dressed exactly like a Black girl who walked by. Now, the Black girl just had more curves. She can't help that. But she had on the exact same outfit. What makes someone go up to the Black girl and talk to her less than because she out here looking like a hoe, as opposed to the white girl who had on the exact same outfit, but hers is, oh, she's okay, and it's more respectable. You know what I mean? So as Black women, we are overly sexualized anyway. So therefore, anything we do, and it's outside of marriage, I'm about to come back to that point in a minute, and it's outside of marriage, we are villainized for anyway. Now, you're talking about Muslim cultures, and you're talking about Christian culture where people marry so that they don't burn. But what about the people who married 4, 5, 6 times?
Mm-hmm.
Is that so because yours was within marriage 4, 5, 6 times, are you different?
No, that's my point.
Not in my eyes, but
that's my point. That's my point. And it's almost like, but then I just think that the way we do women, you know, if I might say, yes, it's a culture thing and yes, whatever. But I think the way we do women just in general, in regards to dating and relationships and things like that, we talk behind the scenes. And if you want to bring up celebrities that's done the same thing, there's several.
Yeah.
There's several that have had, and no one looks at anybody differently. P. Diddy has had a lot of arm candy on in relationships and relationships that didn't work.
Most men in the industry, I mean, whether there's people you know about or people you don't know about. Remember when they did the Bobby Brown story and we was like, he was dating Janet Jackson. You know what I mean? Like everybody was so like, oh my gosh. So, you know, like men in the entertainment industry, it's almost a requirement that you do so.
But for a woman, it's frowned upon, and that is my issue. I'm not saying that I agree totally with just with us just, you know, doing whatever. But if that's the thing. And we talked about this before, and me and you have learned this. I remember growing up thinking, not that I'm having sex with everybody, but even if you dated multiple people, that was a problem. And it's like
we're going to talk about that actually when we get Trevor on the show, because like he said, dating is a numbers game. You don't have to sleep with everybody, but dating is a numbers game so that you can weed out what you don't want.
Are we not raised that if we date multiple people, then we're deemed a hoe?
You shouldn't be.
And you should not be. So whatever she does and whatever she did, she is dating. She's not cheating and married. She's not caught in a scandal with somebody else's husband. These people are the people that she's dating. What's the problem? I know I don't say that about everything, but this, to me, it was just went overboard. Like, this is in all the groups that I'm pretty much in. This is in all of the stuff. And they're like, oh, and you know, a lot of people had something to say. I mean, her daddy told her, act like a lady, think like a man. She doing her. Like, go Steve. Because there are I was talking to a friend the other day who, no exaggeration, told his daughter, you in your 20s, don't settle down with no guy in your 20s. Don't settle down with no guy. Like, literally told her that. And my thing is, why not? Why not tell them, like, I need you? Because a lot of times failed marriages or marriages that, you know, people are cheating.
Are you saying are lessons?
Yes. Yes.
I get that.
Yes.
I get that.
Literally.
It's funny that you should say go Steve Harvey. I would be interested to hear
what he thinks.
Right. His take on all of the talk about his daughter. I would be interested to hear what he had to say. What his standpoint or viewpoint is versus the things that he's written in his book, and you know, and what has played out, you know, with his child. I
mean, to me, again, I'm just gonna stand
not
on
that
this.
it matters. Not that his opinion
Right.
matters.
No.
But like I said, I would just be interested to hear it because he's already always out there with all the relationship stuff.
I'm just gonna say she's dating, she's young, she's doing her, and she'll settle down and she'll have a kid and she'll do whatever. And if she doesn't, even if she doesn't, you know what I mean? It's her prerogative, but I just don't think that should be scrutinized and by all of us, you know, like or should be looked at differently because she chooses to date. All right, there are some people that is like on to the next. And you know, sometimes I pride those people, Chanel. The reason why is because there are so many people that stay in dry relationships or relationships that do not mean them well. And guess what? You stay, become stagnant, become stale, have hard feelings, become bitter or do whatever. But we stay in these relationships that are unfruitful, is what I want to say.
They're dead in relationships.
So dead in relationships. And so she is like, it's one thing. It's almost like, okay, it didn't work out, so I'm going to try the next. Okay, it didn't work out, so I'm going to try the next. Some people, I'm going to just stay here, you know.
Or worse, the ones that don't stay there, they may not stay in that particular relationship, but they decide to stay single as if they are hurting the last person that hurt them by not moving on. When in essence, you are only hurting yourself.
Absolutely.
Why wouldn't you move on and move on with your life? Why would you stop or pause your life because of the last person? Why would you do
that? And people do it.
Of course.
People do it. People do it thinking that, oh, you know, you hurt me or whatever, and I'm just gonna, stay with it, and believe me, there's several times I could have fell into that. Like been hurt or been like whatever. And there's several times where you've had to tell me like, no, like you got to date again. You got to get out there. Don't sit too long or whatever. Because if you get in your feelings and you stay in your feelings, guess what? You stay there too long.
You know my motto, I don't let the grass grow under my feet.
The thing is that why should you? And that's the thing for me. Like, why should you?
I have watched women leave relationships, whether it was a dead end or something happened or whatever, this, that, or the other, and leave relationships and sit and just be miserable in life. Like completely miserable in life. And it's almost like, why do you allow, whether it's a combination of all the people you've been with or the last person, why do you give them that much power that you can't control what's going on in your life now moving forward? Why do that?
I've had this so many times where a counselor has told me, and then another individual I was talking to told me, but there were two things. And the first two things is you cannot control what happened in your past. Like, it's just your past. It is what it is. Like, you were in it, you did whatever. You can't change anything, is what I say. Not control. Change. You can't change anything. Going forward. You should have those redefining moments when it comes to building you and doing whatever for yourself, whatever that looks like for you, right?
Okay.
Whatever that looks like, you should have redefining moments. You should have aha moments, like Oprah says. You should have those moments where you are literally relearning who you are, relearning what you like, relearning what you love, and what you have the ability to tolerate, what you're looking for, just anything, just redefining who you are, your purpose, and whatever.
Yeah.
And a lot of people do not. They take the same. And I know that in this relationship, I'll speak on me. In the relationship that I have, I remember saying to her, I'm not having that in this relationship. And when I say that in this relationship, I mean anything that I have endured, it's not going to be in this one. We're not going to talk to each other
and
hard.
heal from yep.
We're not going to talk. We just not putting it here. Like, I'm not going to be able. We're not talking to each other any type of way. We're not going to go to bed mad. We're not going to not be able.
And you know why? And you know why? Because I've been there, done that.
Did that.
And the fact that I either ended that myself or I was delivered from that myself means I did not heal from that, run from that, or be delivered from that. So now have it again. Wait, knowing it was wrong then, knowing how I felt about it then, knowing what it did to me then, and now I'm going to put that same behavior and deal with it again in this current relationship.
But I've done that.
Yeah, we all have.
I've done that because you deal with you deal with what you're used to. You don't know. Sometimes you really don't even know what to look for because you're looking with the same eyes.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes, sometimes.
No, because there are some times when we choose, right? Mm-hmm. We choose. I always say your picker's broke. You choose what you're used to. Mm-hmm. You attract what you're used to. Mm-hmm. I remember saying all the time, why do I get this certain? Remember, we always, why do I get this certain? And it's like, so now I had to go back to the drawing board, like, wait a minute. Mm-hmm. But I will say, Chanel, in this relationship that because it goes back to me, because I changed, because I looked inward for certain things, I was able to attract what I've wanted all along. Mm-hmm. One, I've also told myself that I'm deserving, because that's another thing that I noticed that people do of more. You don't think, and it could be a subconscious thing, Chanel. It's not always a thing where I just know I'm picking wrong, you know?
Yeah.
I want to save everybody.
Right.
I want to save everybody. I just want to, I feel sorry for everybody. I want to save everybody. And I want to, and this enduring thing for me. Like, you know, where you got to fix everything. Like, I'm just going to stay and fix this. No.
Yep.
I will tell you that at 41.
Because who said that I wanted to choose a relationship or after I've done the work, now I need to fix you too?
Yeah. Yep. And
who's saying that I want to voluntarily sign up to do that? Who's saying that I want to do that? You know?
I don't. I don't. No, I don't. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do it. I don't want to. I'm tired. I'm tired of, I was tired. I was tired of the same story, the same narrative, the same outcome. I was tired of why am I feeling like this? Why do you have me feeling like this? Why do I keep saying, what did I do wrong? You know what I mean?
Girl, you better stop preaching today.
It's all of that. It's every bit of it. You know what I mean? It's every bit of it. So, I think, I don't know I always tell you at 40, it's just something different. But I will say that what I love, I know myself now. I know myself way better than I thought. I know what I need. I'm not choosing, and you said this to me before, like I'm not choosing a relationship
out of desperation.
Desperation or the I'm hurt bae, the hurt bae syndrome, or the Cinderella syndrome, save me, save me, save me.
Yeah.
That type of thing. I'm not choosing out of that.
Right.
I'm not.
Right.
And that's the difference between me at 40, me at 30, me at 20, those are the different milestones. It's not the same.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
Yeah. Now, I mean, honestly, with growth, it shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
With growth, it shouldn't be.
I think that. Go ahead.
No. I was going to say we're going to bring on our relationship coach, Mr. Trev. Trevor,
and I just feel like.
Go ahead, Queen Bee.
I just feel like I'm not leading with my insecurities as well. You know, picking a relationship. There's a lot of times where we lead with insecurities,
of course,
and that is what. Prior to our mouth saying it, our insecurities is what chooses the person.
Yeah. Attracts them.
Yep.
Attracts them. And you know, it is you have to be careful. You have to be really, really careful, because sometimes it's not necessary. It's not always a situation that it's definitely what you picked, but the attraction part of it, you have to realize when you are a certain kind of person, all people, including those that may not be good for you, are going to be attracted to you.
Absolutely.
So a lot of times when people are in phases of healing, or when people are insecure about certain things, a lot of times people can be attracted to your light, even if they don't necessarily know what it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But it's something about you that I'm attracted to.
Yeah.
But as you say, like I said, the attraction part may not be the problem, but when you are have chosen that person, that's where you have to vet out okay, I see where the attraction came from, but is this going to go anywhere?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is this going to do anything? Is this going to be fruitful? Is this going to?
Because it's great to be the light for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
It's great to be the light for somebody, but someone has to be a light to you too. So you can't bring them. No, like, let's be real. You can't bring them the light and show them the way and you know, and teach them all these things and give love and do whatever. And come on.
And it's because that becomes a one-sided relationship. Trev, are you here?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can we see you, or you can't?
Oh. I don't know.
He said, I don't know.
No,
your camera's still off.
My camera's off. Okay.
Jeff, can you request that he? There you go.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Let me just make sure y'all can't see too much of my busy background. You know, I got kids now.
Listen, this ain't my background. This ain't my real background.
I know. Yeah. I mean, I was gonna pick on you with that couch too, but I knew it wasn't yours. But this is a real background. Let me.
I put because I can, because I got the kids.
I got the kids. What's up, y'all? How you doing?
We are good. We are good. So you've been listening in on a conversation. You already know where we're going with things. And we, you know, first and foremost, let me just introduce you. For everybody who doesn't know, if you have been watching our show for the last few years at this point, we bring relationship coach Trev on from time to time to talk about all things love, all things advice. I tell a story a million times, read your book, changed my life in so many different aspects. I still have the book.
Me too.
Just so you know, I still have the book, and it helped me. You know, we were still waiting on another coming from you, but in the meantime, we always go to you for advice, because your advice always makes us think, and you know, and that's the point, right? So
we always got some gems to take away from.
Right. Exactly. So in the meantime, you see your son in the background. That is hilarious.
I can't see him.
Turn the light on.
So in the meantime, how are you? How have you been since we've seen you last?
Fatherhood is real. Like, it's definitely real. I would say I'm great, and I'll probably the reason why that second book isn't out. I definitely consciously, and you can see it on social media, like I kind of took like a long break. I was like, you know, I take that pretty serious, and you know, other people's standards, I might have been doing a great job, but I'm hard on myself when it comes to, you know, being a father. So, but I'm good though. I'm working, you know, and I say all that. If I'm working, then my wife must be like she must have 3 jobs.
Yes.
All she does, the kid, I can stand right next to him. The kids want mommy. So, but everything is great though. Seriously.
Good. Well, look, that's good. Well, listen, we are happy to have you back. And we're just going to get right into it. It is 2021. By the grace of God, the 3 of us are on camera. So we survived multiple pandemics last year. So my question, my first question to you is, what advice do you have in the area of love or dating or relationships, going through this time period that we're in right now?
Well, I kind of posed that question to a couple of people earlier, and one of the things that came up and I thought was interesting was just kind of navigating the dating world while you're single, obviously, during the pandemic. And, a couple of things came to mind, and, without going into detail, maybe this could kind of spark a conversation. But, the first challenge that you can imagine is, having the inability to go places like you used to. And some people are like, well, I go places all the time and I still wasn't meeting people. Well, now you can't go anywhere. So that's already strike one. Another challenge, and there's ways around it, I'll mention that really quickly, but mask. Like, how do you gauge if this person is attractive? Of course, maybe you'll lean on their eyes a little bit more, but some of us ain't got pretty eyes. My best features might be here down, you know what I mean? But I'm joking. But my only point is, you wear a mask up here. That would be like, it's just kind of a challenge. And, one of the first things that popped in my head when I thought of that is, one thing I've always read regarding love and dating was the power of eye contact. Like, I've heard that so many times. I've called women and men out on it, as far as, being out and they're saying, oh, I don't get approached, or I don't find the right people. Like, I can go out with you one day and see how often you look up or make eye contact, and, it affects your results. So one of the biggest things you could do right now as you move out and about, and sometimes it may seem awkward, but intense eye contact, it psychologically can stir something up in someone if they're interested in you. Now, it's not like you got powers and they're not into the type of person you are physically at all, and you look at them and all of a sudden they're going to fall for you. That's not the case. There has to be like a seed planted there that something about you attracts them. But, not being able to smile at somebody or, right off the bat is difficult. So eye contact is important, especially if you're trying to be approached. Even if you're approaching someone, eye contact is everything. Another thing, even with eye contact, normally I would say the eye contact might lead to a smile, and you can tell when somebody's smiling with a mask on, but still it's kind of difficult. You don't want to make the assumption they smiling and they nose itch and you try to approach them, and it's
right.
But my point is, eye contact to the smile is usually a nice transition. But in this case, a lot of times if you make eye contact with handsome or beautiful stranger, one of the biggest things you can do now, especially not having the ability to smile, is to turn your body toward them. Like, to get to clearly, because a smile clearly demonstrates, now just because a woman smiles at a guy or a guy smiles at a woman, or it doesn't mean that they're interested in you. But it is kind of I call it like an alley-oop. It is kind of like a pass, or a leeway into me being able to say something to you, or for her to say something to the other person. So eye contact and turning your body towards someone, to kind of show that you're giving your full attention. We're in a society where cell phones and, we don't have our attention on any one particular place. So you have to do everything you can to demonstrate this. And so the other thing that came to mind was, and I'll say this to women, but, guys already do a lot of approaching. I don't think a woman should ever take away, I don't think many women want to take away the job of a guy approaching them and asking them out. But I do believe, I do believe most women make the first move. And you kind of have to keep that in mind even during the pandemic. First move doesn't mean you ask for his number or anything like that. You kind of leave that to him. But first move could be that smile, that eye contact, that open-ended question. Like, I feel like, that's the last thing I'll say on this, and we can kind of move to another one. But and I'm only speaking specifically to women because I talk to a lot of women, but I feel like society teaches women to go after everything they want. You know, you go after everything you want, you focus on it, you can have anything you want. But when it comes to dating, they're kind of taught to wait, sit back and wait for something.
Yes.
And it's kind of like the one thing, not the one thing, but something that many women want is that companionship. But you're telling them they have to wait for it. They're not supposed to roll their sleeves up and do anything to figure out what they want. That's a big thing, just figuring out what you want. I think most people waste their time because they don't even know what they want. I just took a course from a good friend of mine, Rabu Gary, and one of the things I heard in his course, and I've heard it millions of times, but it just reminded me is, and Steve Harvey talked about it, is you ask, you have not because you ask not. And I know B, you was just saying something like this, just knowing that you deserve more and things of that nature. Like, I think a lot of times people are not very clear on what they want, so they don't even know to ask for what they want. So a big part before even the pandemic and all that stuff is kind of figuring out what you want. But of course, there's challenges with finding someone if you don't know what you want. So when you go to the supermarket, I'm sure you've been to the supermarket before. I do this all the time. I hate it. I go to the supermarket. I ain't got no list. I know what I want, but I ain't got no list. I go in there and I end up buying 13 different things I thought I needed, and I get out the store, I'm like, I really didn't need to buy this extra 6-pack of sodas or whatever it is. So I think it's really important to kind of write down, not just say it, but kind of write down. It's kind of difficult maybe for some people to write down exactly what they want in a man or woman, but maybe you can start writing down which the qualities that you desire. But another thing you would start doing is daydreaming and writing about the type of person you want to be in this relationship. The person who you end up with doesn't matter. You can decide who you want to be before you meet somebody. This is the type of wife, this is the type of husband, this is the type of boyfriend, this type of girlfriend I want to be. And you can decide that, and that's part of you getting to be able to understand what you want and attract what you want. But it starts with knowing exactly what you want. But you still gonna have challenges because people walk around like this. So you got to kind of be aggressive. Men can be aggressive. Women, I would say, be aggressive, but not asking someone out, smiling, talking to them, turning your body toward them. Anything that you can do to demonstrate interest, to be present in the moment.
I think it's funny, really quick. I think it's funny. Just everything you said was just spot on. We are not taught. We are conditioned women. I'm gonna say women are conditioned to. I remember someone asking me back in the day, like, "What's your type?" And Trav, I didn't know. I didn't know what my type was, right? So I didn't know what my type. And you know, I've dated men as well, so and been married and all that. So so I'm talking about both. I don't know what I didn't know what my type was. I didn't know what anything was. And then they were like, well, how do you wind up in relationship with people? I said, no exaggeration. I was like, because the people like me. And they're like, what?
I remember having that conversation with you.
Was it me and you? And I'm like, yeah, everybody that I've been with likes me. Trev, that's an issue.
You know, one thing I like about you is, especially being married, I think a lot of times people don't realize that it's in the, I don't want to say failure, but it's in the not triumphant wins for us, so to speak, that we really learn what we want. Like sometimes being married is a great way. Being married and divorced is a great way to figure out a lot of things about yourself and about what you want in another person. So I would think that's not always the case, but obviously it isn't your case, and I'm happy for that. You come out of that situation, and it may take a little while, but you learn exactly what you want, and it helps you attract what you want because you're clear. You know, so a lot of times people may be discouraged about what happened to their relationship in 2020 or 19, but you know, I always think there's like a gift in that curse, so to speak. There's something in there for you to get, and you got it. And I'm one of those people too. I got it too. It wasn't, you know, any relationship that was really bad. It was just that relationship was for me to figure out exactly where I'm at now, and I'm in a really good space. But it's only because of everything I went through.
That absolutely, absolutely. So what have you seen? Just a couple questions. Like, what have you seen lately? Have you seen anything with the pandemic as far as, now I know that people are not out and dating. I mean, I found my girlfriend on Zeus, which is a dating app, and that's not even me. Just know that I never was the type to sign out, but me, and I gotta give it to Chanel and my best friend Melissa, who was like, we going to do this dating app. We got wine. We sat down. we was like, does this sound good for the bio? You know what I mean?
And
let me see what picture you like. Let me see what picture you putting up there. Let me see what
like,
you
don't
doing.
put that one.
Literally comb through everything. This nope. Don't do that one. This okay, maybe this one. Okay.
And you ended up married. Look at that. That's that. But so
can you
there's two
imagine?
things that just popped in my head when you said that. We're in 2021, so I know some of us are not old, but we all have a chance of kind of being outdated. As we get older, technology, you start to kind of lose sight and get stuck in your ways. A lot of people I met my wife in college, so I knew her before I met her, but we kind of linked up, even though Facebook was kind of early. I linked up with her on Facebook. So my only point is, this is kind of a necessity now. People want to be stuck in old ways. Not saying you can't meet somebody in a traditional way, but don't be the old lady or guy in a room. Like, this is a new world. Like, you have to have a digital presence, whether it be a dating app or social media.
I'm glad you said that. Absolutely.
And it was something else you said, but I'll come back to it. I can't remember what it was.
So that was my thing. We went and we did our bios and things like that, and I was just out there with that, and that generally is not me. But I knew, Trev, that I would not meet anybody. Now, me myself, it's everything you said about the eye contact. I am not that person. I am not, because like me and Chanel, we'll meet a lot of people, but we'll be working and we'll be doing whatever. And I'm literally like all about work, all about what we got to do, all about interviews, all about whatever. And I don't deviate from that. And don't get me wrong, I've had plenty of people be like, hey, how you doing? And I'm like, hey, and Mr. Mark, and Mr. Mark, and miss it.
You didn't even see it.
Oh my God, didn't see it at all. And then be like, oh, that's like, what they meant.
Yeah.
Like,
were they flirting with me?
Yeah. Like totally missing it all, because I'm so focused on everything. It is important that, like you said, the eye contact thing, the being in the moment and being present, and also just being, like you said, digital. Because like you said, a lot of people are, I'm not going on no app. Well, 10 years later, you're still not dating,
And then you're going to get on the app 10 years later. Like, you could have did this 10 years ago when you looked 10 years younger. You felt 10 years younger. I plugged my laptop in. Hold on.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's like he said, technology is a part of dating, a part of relationships, a part of marriages. It's a part of how people stay connected. It's to a point now in a relationship, you'll probably send more text messages and have more conversations via text than, because you're talking to your mate while they're at work. A lot of times you can't stay on the phone all day long. So I'm going to talk to you whether it's I'm saying what we're doing, what we're not doing, if we're joking, if I'm sending you a laugh, if we're talking about whatever it is we're talking about. A lot of times it's through message now.
I recognize how important that is. I learned from Miles Monroe, and this is generalization, but I definitely believe part of this. And one of the things he said is that the needs of a man and a woman, he wasn't the first person to say this, but he said one of the needs of a woman, generally speaking, is conversation. He's like, so as a man, you need to learn how to converse with your wife. You don't need to figure out her problems. She probably already has the problem figured out before she even brought it to you. She just wanted to talk about it. So you need to figure out how to learn how to do that. So when you talk about the text message thing, sometimes I realize my wife will text me like 1,000 things and I'll send that one, okay. And I'm like, damn, I got to send more than that. Like,
oh, she done text
great.
You be reading it though. You be reading it like, he said, okay. Like, yeah.
But no, that's important though. You have to have a digital presence, especially if you're single. Forget how you feel. I'm always big on logic and emotion. It's when it comes to love, like what logically makes sense, and let me not only focus on logic, but embrace how I feel. But Let me pay attention to logic. And to rely on it's almost like relying on one income. I don't believe anybody should do it. I think you should have 10 different sources of income. So if you're not at 10, you should always be pushing for that 10th. So, to kind of rely on just happening to walk outside and meeting somebody is like, you got a lot of faith. Now I have faith, but you got a lot of faith.
But
it's a lot of people.
Unrealistic. It's
unrealistic. People think, I always make this joke, but I feel like some people feel like the guy is gonna knock on their front door and it's just gonna be like a Tyler Perry movie, and he just got the bad hair, but he's a good guy.
Yeah.
I feel like they feel like Mission Impossible. Somebody's gonna rappel from the ceiling, kick in the door with the SWAT team. Like, how you gonna find somebody? Like, you have to be engaged. This is not. Now, it has happened for some people, but don't buy the movies. What logically makes sense? I think a game of numbers makes sense. You talk to 10 guys or 10 women, chances are, number 8 might be the right one. Number 7 might be the right one. Number 10 might be the right one. But if you're dating one person per year, it's going to take you 10 years to find that right person.
I'm glad you said that, because prior to you getting on, we were talking about Lori Harvey. And we were talking about this whole social media scandal about how many people she's dating and everybody being in her business and blah, 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 blah. So I wanted to know, what were your thoughts on all of that?
I don't know too much about it. I asked my wife before I came in here, like, give me a topic. And you said Lori Harvey. That's the first thing she said. I was like, I should have asked my wife to fill me in on it, because I didn't think you were going to say that.
So basically,
what is she, like 20 something years old though?
Yeah, she's like 20 something years old, and she's rumored to have been dating a bunch of celebrities.
Yeah.
So now they put her on, like, in most of the groups I'm in, they put her in the center of the center, and they put all the people she's dated like one on one side and everybody she's dated. So right now she's dating Michael B. Jordan. And I remember, Trav, you saying, like, it's dating. It is what it is. My opinion, I'm like, the girl doing her. Like, she's not scorned or hurt by any of them. She's not hurting anyone. She's moving on and trying to find. She's young. That's my opinion. But all of them are making her out to be like.
I know. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I understand why our society would kind of paint that picture, because we're given a lot of the stuff that we think, just from generations before, and advertising, all that stuff. So, but in reality, like, how else will she figure out, like, when she's married, if she ends up wanting to be married or something when she's 35 years old, she'll be able to pinpoint all the things that she did to get to that point. So I'm not one to judge anybody, but if you're 20 something years old, like, I don't know, like, what you want her to do, like, and she has value. So, what? I think people who say things about, she has certain options because of her value, whether it be her looks or her position, whatever. She has certain options that a lot of people don't have. So most of the people talking probably don't have nearly those options. So it gives them something to talk about.
Right. So it's the same girl that's from Central Jersey that dated however many people in her town. It's just, it's not as publicized as it is for her. Her father's a celebrity, which puts her right in the spotlight. And it just so happens all the people she's dated are also celebrities, and so they are always in the spotlight. But honestly, it's the same difference. If you from small town and you dated this one, and this one, that just so happens to be her circle.
Right.
Her circle is publicized. So I mean,
I can't make a big deal out of that, because I'm not, we all grew up, we all were 18, 19, 25, 35. Like, if they had a camera on me, it wouldn't. You'd have a lot to say about me. You have a lot to say about my friends. You have a lot to say about, like, it's just because the camera's on, and it gives people something to talk about. I'm learning, like, really, social media, and people just have opinions, and some people don't have anyone at home to listen to how they really feel, so they feel like they can type it and there's no recourse. So, I'm sure she don't care that much.
I'm
no,
sure she doesn't
no,
care.
I'm sure she doesn't.
Sure she doesn't.
But I have a problem because I'm like, I mean, and I've learned this from you. Men do it all the time. Men date and have this, plethora of people to choose from, and we are taught that we cannot do that. And just because we are dating does not mean that we are sleeping with every single person that we are dating. And I remember just being taught that, like, I can't have multiple, I can't have this guy calling, I can't have this guy calling, because then you're a hoe. And I'm like, really? And I said to Chanel before you came in, I was like, I remember there were girls that had multiple partners or multiple whatever. They are married with children, business booming, everything like that. And it's like, okay. They actually, like you said, they were able to define or find out what they like, what they didn't like, and keep it moving. And now they're married and they're good and settled. So
the only thing I say, especially to younger women, and this is not even advice because you really could do what you want and should care what anyone says, but just keep in mind, if it's a man, men are always after sex. So as long as you kind of know that, you're dating multiple guys. If you choose to do it, whatever you want to do, that's on you. And no one should judge you for it. But just don't fall for our tricks. Because if you're dating 10 guys, don't fall for our trick 10 times. Because then you'll end up sleeping with 10 guys you may not have wanted to sleep with.
Absolutely.
So, but you decide what you want to do. Don't let anyone's opinion alter that. But guys pursue sex at all costs. They lie. I was watching Family Feud, and they were talking about things men will do for sex. They'll lie, they'll cheat, they'll steal, they'll kill for it, they'll die for it. So just pay attention to that because you control that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So I want to ask you. So that was the dating part of things. I want to talk to you about relationships, and then I guess eventually we'll get into marriages. What are some trends that you're seeing in relationships throughout, the pandemic, or I can't say post-pandemic because we're still in it, but are you noticing anything that's been going on?
You asked me earlier, and it didn't stand out to me. But one thing I will say is, you can't take lightly choosing the right partner. You can't take it lightly at all. Like I know you sometimes you may feel like a desperation, and I feel like some people just kind of take the first option that comes along. Like, well, he or she got all her teeth. I'm gonna just go ahead and go on with that. But this pandemic, when you're forced to be around somebody more often than not, a lot of times when people get divorced, it's not that they don't love each other, because a lot of people, I would say, still love each other even during the divorce proceedings. I think they just never learned to live with each other. Maybe they never figured out exactly what that person needed to feel fulfilled, and they never learned those little nuances on, there's certain things my wife, I know, like if I'm home and my son has virtual learning, I know that she wants me to get up and make him breakfast because she wants to sleep later. I don't have no problem with that. She does so many things, and I don't want to get up either, but but again, this is me learning to live with my wife, so I think, obviously if you're dating, you have to pay attention to who you're with, but if you're with somebody, prior to being in a relationship with somebody, prior to being married to somebody, you should have made a decision, like killing all other options. Like, this is the person I rock with. I'm gonna figure everything out no matter what comes up. So I always kind of lean on, like, my wife and I don't argue. I'd say that to some people. I know some people that are in that same boat, couples that are in that same boat. And I'm not knocking people that end up arguing, because it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not for each other. It just, two strong personalities clash sometimes. Her and I don't argue. And I think part of the reason I know for sure is my philosophy on that. It's like, and it's deep for me, because I can go back to my great grandfather who died young when my grandmother was young, so she didn't have her father in her life. My grandmother's husband wasn't in my father and my aunt's life, so I feel like, oh wow, I'm with my child's mother. I'm here. I'm changing the history in my family. I can go back 150 years, which I have already, and not because of deadbeats, but some of them just were killed or died young. So there's a lot of people that don't have both parents in the house going back 100-something years in my family. You know, so 500 years from now, if that's somewhat changed and they can point to me, that's a big deal to me. So I don't think about that when I get mad at her. I'm not mad at her and I'm like, I'm about to curse her out. I'm like, you know what, my great grandfather, like, I don't think it don't come up like that, but it's just kind of like, you know, I feel like it's bigger than me. I almost feel like LeBron James in my life. And it's like, I got a lot to do. Like, you know, I put it on my shoulders, but I can't act a certain way. I can't do a certain thing because I'm gonna F it up. I almost cursed.
Okay. Oh, good. It's okay. It's an adult show.
But so, you know, and this is not what a trend, but it's just kind of advice. It's like, if you guys are in it together, especially during the pandemic, and you're kind of changing the way you interact because you're with each other all the time, you kind of have to think of it. And I think of it as a decision. And the way I heard this, as far as marriage or choosing someone, is decide. And I told you this, guys, but you've heard this a million times. But decide, like, decide. It ends in the word the decide, like decide, suicide, homicide, pesticide, genocide. They all include the death of something. Genocide, a bunch of people. Homicide, death of someone else. Pesticides, the insects or bugs on plants. Suicide, killing oneself. But when you say you decide, you killed all other options. So at this point, for me, I mean, it's been 10 years now, so it ain't like I could change my mind. Well, I could change my mind, but I ain't gonna change my mind. But, you know, I already decided, you know, that's who I'm rocking with. Yeah. You know, it was that. So a lot of my decisions on a day-to-day basis, frustration, all that stuff, we still get frustrated, but I'd rather walk away for like 10 seconds because I think most people act off emotion, and now they're stuck with whatever they said or did. They're stuck with it, even though the emotion is gone. They don't even feel that way tomorrow. But what you said to her is still there. She ain't gonna forget it, or he's not gonna forget it. So, you know, I say during this pandemic, like, really make a decision that, you know, you're gonna come out of this better. Like, you're stuck together. Y'all could build together. Y'all could plan together. Like, as far as money, whatever it is, like, this was a perfect time. And if y'all have this opportunity to be closer together and y'all grow further apart, you're not taking advantage of that free time that you have. You're not taking advantage of the chance to, like, build something. You could most people could have built the foundation this last year that would have set their relationship up for the rest of their life. Just this 1 year. Not like they had to continue doing everything they did this year. They could have just put that work in, whatever it was, that time, that energy in this year, and they would have been fine. Like, I'm still on the cloud, and my wife and I were joking about it. I'm still on the cloud from our wedding. That was like 8 years ago.
Wow.
There's certain things you can do that will set your relationship up. Our wedding, we had 50 people in Mexico, and it was her family, my family. So instead of this just wedding which I'm not knocking, I sometimes talk passionately and it might look like I'm knocking something, but you have the wedding where you have this venue and you don't have much time to spend with people because you're doing all your stuff. And at the reception, you go around to each table and you got like 5 minutes to say hi to all these people. Blah, 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 blah. In the destination wedding, I mean, on Monday, it was her and I were eating dinner with her family. And then on the other half of the day, some of our friends, we went snorkeling. On Tuesday, we had lunch with my family and her family. So there was so much mingling and mixing and drinking. Like, I'm still on the high of that. So again, during this pandemic, during this time frame, you could put a little bit of effort in just to make it good, not make it great, not just like being, but like going above and beyond, figuring out exactly what he needs, exactly what she needs or wants to feel fulfilled in this relationship. And you could take your foot off the gas. Not saying you should, but you could. So I think a lot of people should take advantage of this time. I don't know where we're going with it, but, you know, my son's still doing virtual learning. You know, it's been a year now. So at some point you got to say, well, shit, this might be how it's going to be.
It. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right. And on to marriages. So, you know, like I said, we started with dating and we went into relationships. Now marriages. I mean, is it similar advice? What advice do you have for married couples in the pandemic right now? Anything in particular? Same.
So if they're living, so I look at marriage and not dating like I'm dating exclusively, and marriage like the exact same thing. I don't know. You buy the couch. buy the milk before you cow, all that. I don't know the phrase, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Y'all married. The reason why I say that is you think of like a document that you want to get notarized, right? You get a piece of paper, you got a whole bunch of writing on it. We agree. I like your shirt, by the way, B. I meant to say that.
Oh, thank you.
I read that a while ago. But you have a piece of paper, it says worship on it, and we agree to something, and everything is on that paper. When you get it notarized, they put the stamp on it. So now it's official. But did anything on the paper change? No, it's the same word.
No.
All they did was put a stamp on it. So people that are exclusively dating, like there's like a ring is not gonna do anything. It's not gonna make them change. It's not like Captain Planet where you put the ring on, everything just light up. Like it's not that. So this is it. This is what it's gonna be. So everything I just said, I kind of want to say to the couple that is in an exclusive relationship, but they're not married. You have to figure out how to live with this person. That's the most important thing. And I do believe that people can save themselves a lot of time and energy just by paying attention to certain, and this doesn't always apply. And B, I would like to talk to you about this too. But there's certain generalizations that you can understand going in and not assume that it's true for the person that's in front of you, but at least have it there and evaluate to see if it's true. Like, you should not be dating a guy and be shocked that he's thinking about sex. Like, not saying you should give in, but you're shocked. Like, you should kind of already have an idea that this is something that he's probably thinking about. Doesn't mean that's all he's thinking about. You shouldn't be shocked. Like, a guy shouldn't start dating a woman and then be like, I didn't think, be shocked that she loves affection. Like, I'm not saying every woman wants affection. I'm not saying every man wants sex all the time, but at least have some ideas when you're going in so that you can pay attention in who they are. And it's like a cheat sheet. Like, if you know a woman like loves affection, guys get like, I might be giving away game. Like, it's easy. Like, if for the guys that are, when you're younger, you want to date a bunch of, you just got to know that they want affection. You start showing affection, you got to line up with women.
Yeah.
But now that's a guy using it for evil. His powers for evil. But similar to a woman, there's certain things I feel like men and women should have an idea going in. And if not, this is part of what you do when you're single. You pay attention, you read a lot, you try to get more culture so that, again, when you come across somebody, you still have to learn who they are specifically, because no one person's the same. And you may be get your feelings hurt to realize this woman in front of you doesn't want affection like you think. So don't assume, but have that list and kind of pay attention as you're dating. Okay, so yeah, you do, that is you. Okay, I'll pay attention to that. She does need that. Okay, I'll make sure I do that. Because ultimately your relationship, your marriage is going to be based on what are their needs? Can you meet their needs? And do you want to meet their needs? So what are their needs? You got to figure it out. What are their needs? What do they need to feel happy and fulfilled in this relationship? What do they need? Can you meet their needs? Can you meet them? Because some things you may not be able to do. Like, I can't grow any taller. So if my wife say, I want a taller guy, I'm like, well, shit. And we can do.
Right.
And do you want to? Because just meeting somebody's needs, when somebody does something for you and you could tell they don't want to do it, you almost don't want them to do it. Like, man, take that shit back. I don't want it.
Yeah, you don't want it.
So can you meet them? What are the needs? Can you meet them? And do you want to meet them?
Okay.
So those things you have to pay attention to. Even now, like, my wife is different. My wife is not the same woman from 10 years ago. So I find myself like still kind of paying attention, like, oh damn, I don't think she like that. She ain't laugh at that one too much. So let me not say that again.
I got a question. I got a question for you. So do you believe, okay, so everybody's big on the whole love language thing, right? Like, love language, what you need, what you want. I think a lot of them are admiration, affection, or something, whatever they are, whatever they are, service and all that other stuff. Do you believe in the love languages, and do you believe that in a period of time that the love language actually changes depending on the person and just their growth and everything like that? Because sometimes what you need in a relationship in the beginning may not be in 6 months. It may look different and it may change.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that, Trev?
Absolutely. The love languages, I've read it. I've been to seminars where they really taught on it. So I do believe in it. It's like the start of the conversation. So like The Secret is the start of attracting stuff, but it's bigger than just knowing the secret. Like there's like tons of information on how you can attract. But The Secret was like a big opening and letting people know about it. I think the same thing. Damn, I just lost my train of thought. What were we talking about?
Love languages, and do you think that the need changes? Yes.
So yes, it does change. And I think it might change for a good reason. Like, when you want something really bad and you get a lot of it. Like this is Brazilian soda, and I know I'm not supposed to drink soda. My skin still look okay, but I'm not. But this is Brazilian soda. I should tell my wife to get it, and you only get it from like certain spots. Like I can't have enough of it. Like I always need it, and I know she just went out and got it for me. But my point is, she got like 8 of them. So when I drink that first one today, I'm gonna be all into it. Like, oh my God. That second one, I'm gonna down it. Not in the same day, maybe tomorrow. I'm gonna down it. But by the 3rd day, it's like, all right, I might leave that much left in the bottle when I throw it out. Like it became, I got used to it. So there's certain things that, in the beginning, I noticed my wife needed or I needed, and no, we no longer need them. I give you one. I remember my wife was really, she's a slim girl. And I remember when I first was dating her, I remember she was confident in herself, but I remember maybe prior to me running into her again, I think maybe she said that being so thin was like being like self-conscious. I had my own kind of things like that too, but I remember I loved it. I was like, I love your shape. You're perfect. Like, so I reiterated that all the time. Probably in part because I knew that she had insecurity. So, again, logic and emotion. I knew logically that empowering her in something that she wasn't empowered in would help my case. But I'll say this, she's had 2 kids, now that she's at the age that she's at, 26. But now that she's had 2 kids and she's snatched. So when you look back at 21-year-old her, she thought that being, this certain size was a bad thing. She's got 2 kids now. She's thin, like she's slim the way she is. She's as confident as she can be. So me complimenting her, it may not hit the same as it was early on because she already knows she the shit. So she doesn't telling her now, she's like, I know.
Need it now. She doesn't necessarily need it.
Now, I know attention what the next language is now.
Yeah, I know for me personally, after reading the book years ago when it first came out or whatever, I just knew that affection was my love language. Everything was affection. I just affectionate. I'm this and that. Now, 40-something-year-old Toya is like, what? Like, no, I don't know. I don't. You know what? I probably need to figure out exactly what my love language is at this point. But it used to be, I can tell you this, it used to be affection and heavy on the, it used to be, because it's not now. It's not now. While I still value affection, it is not number one for me. Why? It's not number one for me anymore.
What changed?
Right.
I don't know what changed. I don't need it the way I did before. Maybe, and I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing, but maybe that physical touch, whether if it was superficial or not, meant more to me than whatever was going on. I don't know. And now I'm more focused on what's really going on as opposed to just the physical touch soothing in that moment,
So I think
over the relationship. I don't know.
So I think, like you said, whether good or a bad thing, I think honestly, sometimes our love languages change based on what we've encountered and what we've gone through in relationships. Sometimes we've had all this affection and then feel like we don't need it no more when we really do. We really do. But we have gone, we've gone with people that either didn't give it to us and we've become accustomed to that. You know what I mean? Maybe. Or I think for me, I do think love languages change. I know mine has changed with growth. See, I need all that. Give me all that.
I need
Give
all
me
too.
affection.
Yeah, you need all.
Give me all that.
I need
all
some
right?
gifts.
I'm
I
gonna
need
be
some
honest.
gifts. Buy me some shit, please.
You know what I mean? like give me all that. Give me words of affirmation. Give me some affection. You know what I mean? Tell me I look good today, you know, and then buy me something. Like I need all that. Whatever the love. Well, how many is it? Is it Trav? If it's 7, give me 7.
I think it's like 5 or something,
It's
right?
It's 5.
Okay.
One way.
Give me all 5.
You know something you said, B, earlier, and I believe this too. And this is a challenge, but I don't know how to get around it with a simple answer. But a lot of people do go from one relationship and they learn a lot about themselves and the other person, and they develop certain habits of relating, and they move to the next relationship thinking, okay, well, I understand now. Like, okay, she was dating Bobby at first, and now she's dating Thomas, and she's thinking about how she dated Bobby, and she's like, all right, Bobby didn't like this, so I'm gonna switch this up. I'm gonna try to be right. And you're basically going and trying to switch up for this next person. You're basically becoming this person that they're not even interested in.
Right.
Whereas if you were able to kind of stay who you were, they would have been interested in that person. But you switched because you thought that you were changing for the better because you were trying to alter what you messed up on the last relationship. So sometimes coming out of a relationship, it doesn't necessarily mean, I think there's growth to happen with anyone, but sometimes coming out of a relationship doesn't mean you have to switch who you are. Maybe you could just bringing the right person to the wrong person.
Right.
It doesn't mean change how you approach men or women. It doesn't mean that. But I think naturally, our bodies have certain things and our brains have certain things in them to keep us away from danger. There's certain parts of our body that cause us to react a certain way instinctively, and it's our subconscious pushing us to do that because it's like, well, this is your subconscious talking. I didn't want our body to fall in that puddle, so I made you jump off the curb real quick. I didn't want you to get hurt, so I made you lash out at him and let him know that he can't do that to you when it was unnecessary. So sometimes we have these impulse things that our subconscious is pushing us to do because, and it's based off of the trauma or the hurt that we had in the last relationship. So now our brain is like, well, I'm gonna keep you away from doing that. Your brain is kind of instructing you to do things to stay away from that. But in doing that, you're actually not being yourself.
And you're absolutely
And when you go to somebody and you're not yourself and it doesn't work out, you can't a week later and they're like, this is not gonna work for me. You can't be like, all right, hold on, stop. Let's start over.
That's not really me.
Myself.
Time out.
Let's start over. Let's do it over.
Right.
It's over. First, you have a few. There's a first impression for everything. It's like first impression, like when you meet somebody. So there's first impression in sex. There's a first impression in cooking. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you fuck up that first dinner. I remember my wife on our second date. She cooks for me. My wife on our second date cooked for me with some like chicken and some mango salsa or something like that. And shit, I'll be damned if our anniversary like a couple months ago, she made the same dish. But my point, but she was paying attention. But anyway, I digress. But I forgot what I was saying again. Sorry, I got kid brain.
Nope. It's fine. Good. It's fine. You were just talking about the previous relationships and changing for the current one. But no, I completely agree with that because I did do that from previous relationships going into dating. There was things where I had to catch myself and be like, wait, I either stopped doing this or I never did do this because that person didn't like it, and now I'm bringing that into this. And there was times when I had to catch myself. I remember I might have been talking to B about it. What there was some area where I was like, I recognize I'm doing this now because of the last person. Do you recall us having that conversation? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely know I've done that. As far as my love language changing, I don't know, maybe you just get older and irritable. It's like not liking loud, you know what I mean? It's like not liking loud noises anymore. You're like, would you turn that down? You know what I mean? Like you get older, you don't want all that noise no more. You like, just, it's aggravating me. So I mean, I don't know. As I get older, it's like I don't want it to ever go away. It's just not number one. It might be number two now. You know what I mean? But it's just not number one.
So it's just it's different on your priority list. One thing I will say that that stood out to me, Trev, is that we never really talk about the traumatic experiences in relationships, right? Or that relationships bring. And I don't always mean, listen, traumatic experience is just not somebody whooping you. You know what I mean? No, traumatic experience is just not someone fighting you or physically doing something to you, or traumatic experience in a relationship is so many things. It encompasses so many things. And one of the things I will say is that when you cannot be yourself and you are accustomed to actually being a conforming or being someone else to fit inside of that relationship, it's traumatic to me. I remember in a past relationship, I love poetry. Always loved poetry ever since I was a kid. Anybody knows me knows I'm a writer, I'm a poet. I love the arts, just everything that the creative thing it could be. I love it. I remember being in the relationship that I was, and I literally put everything on the back burner. So I always feel like I'm so behind with writing in poetry because for years I just kind of put it on the shelf. The person first of all, the person I was attached to didn't even know that I was, and Chanel can vouch, I was who I was when it comes to poetry. Didn't know I wrote, didn't know, and was married to him. Didn't know I wrote, didn't know I did anything, heard my poetry and was like, wow. And it's like, dude, I've been this way. This is who I was. But me altering myself, putting what I liked on the back burner, I remember getting out of that relationship and being like, me having a conversation with my girlfriends and then being like, what do you like? And I'm like, well, I used to like poetry and I used to like this and I used to just like going to New York and I had literally altered everything, my authentic self and everything about who I was to fit the mold in which in the relationship. And I tell you, like I tell everybody, be who you are, continually be who you are. If that person loves you and who you are, they will love you and who you are always.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So my son was.
It was funny because he was sneaking behind before in the window, and I was cracking up.
Like, what are you doing?
It was almost like a commercial. It was like, look, I'm looking at you, but to the left, I'm like, what is he doing back?
I'm over here. I'm like, just what are you doing? He's trying to back out. Like, I don't know who made this house with this glass door. Can't get no work done in here. Okay.
But yeah, I just think that you have to continually be, and who the person that falls in love with you will fall in love with you for all of the things that you bring to the table, all of yourself. And if they don't like, even one thing about you or whatever, then that's fine. That's fine. Then they're not meant to be, in your life. And then, if somebody truly loves you, there is one thing they probably don't like about you. But they can tolerate it for they can tolerate it. So
I feel like that's part of the learning process for yourself. Like you'll make somebody else's job easier if you're very clear on what you want. Like my wife kind of jokes about it. I forgot exactly when we moved in together, but I remember her saying it in public, and I remember saying it to a few people like, yo, living with Trevor is easy. Like she was like, I didn't think it was gonna. She never lived with a guy before. She was like, I feel like that was easy. That's because I lived with my ex, and I probably drove her crazy. You know what I'm saying? So, although these are two separate women, I probably learned a lot about living with a woman by living with my ex. So by the time I got to my wife, there was so many things about women I already kind of understood. I guess for my wife, it was just she probably expected it to be a little bit more difficult. But I remember her consciously saying like, "Yo, this is so easy. I thought it was gonna be." And I'm like, "Why?" Because I didn't recognize that I knew all this stuff. It was just, live with somebody for 5 years, you pick up everything. I know everything. Well, I don't know everything about women, but I understand a lot about it.
Trav, what's funny is that I always think about the story about, and I actually told this story to somebody about you talking about the towel, how how you were reared or raised or whatever with the towel. And it's funny because in a new relationship I am, we do things completely opposite, right? We do things because we are, you know, and I will say this publicly and privately. She is neat. I am
My wife
not.
is neat. My wife is
Really?
organized.
She is neat. She is like, this got to be here. This got to be there. Not that I'm not neat, because I have my moments where I'm like, all right, I want everything to be like whatever. But I could literally look for something. I could put something to the side. It could stay there. I could do whatever. Meanwhile, it drives her absolutely crazy. All right.
No,
But it's just every time I think about the towel and when you get out. Remember when you was
shower?
like,
No,
when you get out the shower?
So one thing, because my wife is so neat, my kids are like, hey, you know, Daddy, I'm going to organize. Like, my kids are using the terminology, like, I'm going to organize my toys. Although they're still messy kids, but they understand when it's time to organize because mommy don't play that.
Yeah.
I find myself like sometimes be like, I'll be wanting to like, I'll leave that there, walk away. I'm like, oh shit, let me put this away because I know she gonna say something.
Right. You gotta see me.
It's helping me. I'm being a neater person.
Because even during the pandemic, so she's out, you know, working, doing her thing, and I'm home with the kids most of the time. And when I look at the clock, and I'll be like, you know what, she'll be home. So now she has an earlier schedule. So I'll be like, she'll be home, and I got to be like, let me make this bed. Let me do something. So
look like you effing up her clean. Nah, I'm in that same boat, and it, you know, it helped me. That's one of those things that it, you know.
Yes.
I remember my best friend, since I was younger, he was like super neat. And I remember thinking like, yeah, I'm gonna be neat. I just wasn't. But I live with her though, it's like, you look at my office now, everything has a place. But that's not me though. But I will say this though, this is just on that topic of deciding. Yes. My wife don't black out on me. Like, she's never, I've blatantly left something and she's like, you forgot the da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, shit. But she's not about to blow up in my face. She's not about to drag it on all day.
I don't get that either.
I don't get none of that. Like, so, you know, that's, again, finding the right person kind of, there's so many problems that are solved that I didn't even realize that were going to be solved when I was dating her. Just having the right woman, I didn't realize 10 years in the future when we have kids that there's certain problems I didn't even know were coming that are already fixed. Just because she's there. So, you know, that, studying, reading, asking questions, talking to people, everything you can do to figure out where you want to be with your love life, who you want, the type of person you want to be, writing it down. You know, again, Steve Harvey, you have not because you ask not. Well, that's not Steve, that's the Bible, but I just heard something from him when I was listening to Masterclass. And he said, write it down. You know, you should write that down too. I know it seems like, you know, I can understand why someone would say, well, this is different when you talk about relationships because there's so many things involved, but just try it. Like, write down the type of person you want to be and then write it down every other day. Like, someone, they were telling me that they journal a lot and they keep all of their journals because they figure that one day their great grandkids will look at that as gold, which I agree. But she was saying that if her kids looked in there one day, they're going to see a lot of her kind of talking about a husband that wasn't there before he came. He's there now and they have kids now, but she was writing that stuff down like every other day in the journal, like describing it. Now her kids are old enough to probably read the journal. Like, you want to know how I met your father? Here, let me take you back 5 years before he even came.
But that's a gem. If she has a daughter or a son, that is a gem to them, actually. That is going.
When they get older, they're going to understand it. Absolutely. But I'm listen. I'm big on everything. You know, we're going to be studied. You know, whether it be your relationship from your kids or whether it be your job. Like, just look at how I'm able to do this because of a cousin of mine. But I can go back to maybe the 1600s. You know, where I can see my family, like I have the white side of my family, and I can go back to like some of the black side of my family. I'm still working on that, but obviously there's reasons why the black side of your family information may not be available. But you know, I'm big on leaving a legacy, not just what we do as far as accomplishments, but like I've gone to like my aunts and my uncles. I'm like, yo, give me all your old photo albums. I want to go through them. And I used it kind of for inspiration because I realized that all the pictures I take now, all the stuff that videos I take now, even journaling and stuff like that, like our kids think about how hard it would be for you right now to go find information on your great grandmother. Now, fast forward 300 years from now, think about social media, all the files on your computer, all your emails, all the stuff that you're probably writing. And again, this is only going to get more and more convenient as technology advances. Your great grandkids are going to be able to pull up thousands of hours of information on who you are and where they came from. So what are you leaving behind? Like, what do you, all this shit, they're going to be all through your stuff. All of it. I mean, your family should preserve it, but what are you leaving behind? What are you saying? What is your storytelling? So for me, one of the things that really encourages me in my marriage is that I know I'm looking back now at my great grandfather who died, my grandfather who just wasn't there. You know, it's like I have an opportunity to change something. And even going back, I talked to my grandmother. I actually do Zoom calls with my grandmother and record them, just like asking her questions about her history. But you know,
that's smart.
I believe that what you're doing now is more important than just right now. And you know, so yeah, I'm big on that. I'm definitely big on that.
No, that's smart. That is smart to do that, and it's smart, like you said, you're recording those Zoom calls with her, you know, because that's it's always going to be there. It's always going to be recorded. You can always go back to it. So even if you don't remember the stories like how we used to do back in the day, and you sit in the room with your grandparents and they tell you stories, even if you don't remember them, you have them recorded, so you can always go back to it. You know,
and I think that you know, as time goes on, they'll be able, your kids' kids will be able to look back and learn a lot about you. But if you have the opportunity to have somebody that's older still alive, if you can get information from them 300 years from now, when they're looking at all this information of you, it's easy. But because you did this little research, they can go back yet another generation because of the little research you did. But it's gonna mean something more than it does right now, obviously. But you know, you didn't think about it now.
Well, listen, we've come to the end of our show. I guess B's system shut off at when our show was supposed to end. So, so listen, it is always a pleasure when you are here, and we definitely have to have you back. We always know in February, Valentine's Day is coming up. So, you know, we definitely have to have you back on, especially when this is our first Valentine's Day during a pandemic, because last year, technically, we weren't in it. So we definitely have to have you back next month at that time. And we definitely need some more advice from you, because again, love during a pandemic is going to be different. People are going to get into relationships for different reasons, or stay in relationships for different reasons. So, you know, at that point, it's what are your motivating factors? What are your intentions in dating now? Is it because you were maybe alone all of 2020 and now it's become important to you, or maybe you realize it's not important to you? Who knows? I don't know. But either way, like I said, we definitely thank you for being here tonight. Definitely thank you for the gems that you share with us every single time you come on the show. And we are definitely, can we have you back in February? Okay, good.
Yep, absolutely. Sorry.
Good. Well, listen, that's a good thing. And I'm just going to go ahead and end the show now because we're over anyway. So thank you so much, Trev, for being with us tonight. We're going to be looking forward to that book whenever the time hits, and it's divine timing and it's supposed to be here. So to everybody who watched, to everybody who listened tonight, we thank you so much. Trev, we'll see you in February. And Queen B is off, but we'll see her back, God willing, next week. And Jeff, you can go ahead and take us away. Thank you, everybody.
Have a great night.
Watching. Love you for listening. See you soon. Bye.